The reflection blinked before I did. That was the moment everything stopped making sense, because the security camera showed a man standing in a hallway mirror, reacting to something that hadn't happened yet, and the hallway itself was empty. I didn't see that footage until weeks later, but when I did, I knew instantly that whatever we'd been investigating wasn't a glitch or a prank or a bad angle. It was something that had been waiting to be noticed. Let me rewind. This started as a routine follow-up, the kind of thing that usually ends with paperwork and an apology for wasting time. I was contracted as a civilian analyst to review security footage for a municipal building in northern Arizona. Small city, quiet place, the kind of town where the police station closes one wing at night to save electricity. The building was a combined records office and utilities administration, 2 floors, built in the late 90s, cheap drywall, fluorescent lighting, long, narrow corridors with identical doors. They called me because one of their overnight cameras kept flagging motion events where nothing was visible. No break-ins, no staff after hours, but the system logs showed repeated activity. At first, they assumed it was a sensor issue. Then the IT supervisor noticed something stranger. The motion wasn't random, it was consistent. Always the same hallway, always between 2:11 and 2:17 in the morning, and always facing a wall-mounted mirror at the end of the corridor. That mirror had been installed after an ADA compliance review. It was there so wheelchair users could see around the corner before turning into the hallway. Convex, slightly warped, bolted directly into the concrete. The camera facing it was fixed. No pan, no tilt, no zoom. When I arrived, I did what I always do. I checked the basics: camera model, firmware version, lens condition, mount stability, time sync. Everything checked out. I asked for the raw footage. They hesitated. Not because it was classified, but because, as the supervisor put it, it's hard to explain without sounding stupid. I told him I'd heard worse. The first clip loaded. 2:11 a.m. Empty hallway, lights humming, mirror reflecting the same empty hallway from a slightly warped angle. Nothing happens for about 12 seconds. Then the reflection shifts. Not the camera, not the lighting, the reflection. In the mirror, I see a man standing where no man is visible in the hallway itself. Average height, dark jacket, hands at his sides. But here's the part that made my stomach tighten. He wasn't fading in. He wasn't appearing gradually. He was already there, as if he'd been standing just outside the frame of reality, waiting for the reflection to catch up. I paused the video, zoomed in. The hallway outside the mirror was empty. No shadow, no distortion, no light displacement. Inside the mirror, the man shifted his weight. I felt that familiar analytical instinct kick in, the one that tries to normalize everything. Double exposure, residual image, compression artifact. I scrubbed frame by frame. The reflection moved at a different frame rate than the rest of the scene. I restarted the clip. This time I noticed something else. At 2:11:19, the reflected man turned his head slightly to the left. At 2:11:21, the hallway lights flickered briefly before resetting. The reaction came first. The environment followed. I leaned back in my chair and let the silence stretch. Then I pulled the next clip. Same time, next night. Same hallway, same mirror. The reflected man was closer. Not closer to the camera, closer to the mirror, as if he'd taken a step forward that the real world never acknowledged. Again, he moved before anything else changed. At 2:12:03, he flinched. At 2:12:05, the door at the end of the hallway rattled slightly, like someone testing the handle. No one was there. I asked for maintenance logs. Nothing unusual. No HVAC surges, no seismic activity, no electrical faults. I asked if anyone recognized the man. No one did. I asked if anyone had been in the building during those hours. They pulled badge records. No entries, no exits. I asked if anyone had cleaned or adjusted the mirror recently. No. That mirror hadn't moved in 3 years. I did what any rational person would do. I tried to break it. I ran calibration checks using recorded reference patterns. The distortion matched the mirror's curvature perfectly. No layering, no overlay. I checked timestamps against atomic clock sync, accurate to the millisecond. I even brought in a secondary camera and mounted it temporarily at a different angle. That footage showed the same thing, an empty hallway, and a reflection that wasn't empty. Here's the detail that still bothers me. The reflected man never looked directly at the camera. He looked slightly past it, like he was watching someone stand where I was now. I kept telling myself this was a perceptual error, the brain filling in gaps, pareidolia, until the fourth night. That's when the reflection smiled. Just a small movement, barely visible, at 2:13:11. Then, 2 seconds later, the emergency alarm chirped briefly before resetting. No door opened, no pressure sensor triggered, just the sound. I remember thinking very clearly that the reflection looked relieved. That was the night I asked to access older footage. They told me the camera system had only been installed 5 years ago, but the mirror predated it. I requested archived renovation photos. One image stopped me cold. Taken during construction, same hallway, same mirror location. And in the mirror's reflection, a man stood behind the photographer. The timestamp was from 1998. Different camera, different resolution, same posture, same jacket. I stared at that still image for a long time. Then I noticed something else. The photographer's shadow was visible on the wall, but the man in the reflection cast none. I started to feel watched after that, not threatened, observed, like someone checking whether I'd finally noticed them. I stayed late the next night, against policy, against common sense. I wanted to see it live. I sat in the security office, lights off, monitors glowing. 2:10 a.m. Nothing. 2:11. The motion alert pinged. I watched the feed. The reflection appeared instantly, standing there, facing forward. Then he raised his hand, slowly, deliberately, and he pointed, not at the camera, at the space in front of the mirror, where I would be standing if I were in the hallway. My mouth went dry. I checked the hallway camera, still empty. The reflection leaned closer, and for the first time, his lips moved. No audio came through, but I knew what he was saying, because the subtitles appeared automatically. The system had flagged it as speech. The caption read, "You're late." 2 seconds later, the lights dimmed, just for a moment. When they came back, the reflection was gone. So was the motion alert. I sat there until sunrise. Didn't move, didn't breathe. The next morning, I reviewed the footage again. The subtitles weren't there. The lip movement wasn't there. The pointing gesture wasn't there. Just the man standing still, like he always had. That's when I realized something that I haven't told the city officials. Every time the reflection appeared, it wasn't matching the present. It was matching a delay, a version of the hallway that was about 2 seconds ahead. Which makes me ask you something. What would you think if your reflection reacted before you did? Not predicted, not guessed, but already knew. I compared timestamps across all available clips. The pattern was consistent.
The reflection experienced events before the physical space, always by a fraction of time, as if the mirror wasn't reflecting light, but reflecting sequence. Cause and effect, reversed. The man in the reflection wasn't trapped, he was early. I noticed something else after that. In the most recent footage, the reflected man looked tired. His shoulders slumped, his movement slowed, like someone waiting too long for something inevitable. On the final night of recording, he wasn't alone. A second figure stood behind him, barely visible, just a suggestion of shape. I enhanced the image. The second figure had my posture, my build, my jacket.